I mostly grew up in South Florida, but the first 7 years of my life, I lived on, I lived in rural Connecticut. What was then rural Connecticut. It was sort of like one of these post-war potential little boomed communities, but it was really rural then, and lived, basically everything was surrounded by farmland and a dairy farm. So my family moved down here in 1959, and I've been here ever since, although I never intended to live in South Florida. In South Florida, I grew up in Hollywood, and I was actually so embarrassed about Hollywood then that when people would ask me, where are you from? I would just say Hollywood, hoping they would think it was the cool Hollywood. Well, there was always music in my house. My father loved music, all kinds of music, but, between Broadway music, Frank Sinatra, whatever, but there was always playing, he was always playing music. So probably that was the one the one art discipline that I was most aware of, probably was most conscious of early. But then I think in third grade, fourth grade, I entered a fire prevention poster contest. And so that was the first time I remember it was like, and I won. That was so funny. I mean, one, that it was a poster, and it was a propaganda poster. Who knew years later I'd wind up working at the Wolfsonian. And then, my family was originally from New York. So we went to New York, to visit relatives. But so I would, we didn't always go into the city because there were so many kids. So it was like what my family could afford. But I remember going to museums, and then there were times where I went for the summer and stayed with my aunt and uncle in New York. And like I went to the 1964 World's Fair. So that was probably, I'd say, and I was like, 12 years old then. That, I think, most impressed me. Not just about art, but just about everything. I think I became, I don't know that I could articulate it then, but looking back now, thinking, I was like dazzled by, the architecture, the pavilions, the technology, all that.